What I've encountered leading salespeople for as long as I have is people often refer even to themselves as if they're feeling like a used car salesperson. Right? I
Yeah.
think the most common phrase that I often hear in regards to salespeople, we're pushy. We're just out for our commissions. We have commission breath, right? A lot of negative connotations that go with sales. Yep.
And a lot of salespeople that that I know are really, really decent people that want to help. But the beliefs in our society, when I ask a large group of people, let's say we've got 100 people in the audience, salespeople, and I say, finish this sentence, salespeople are, and I'll hear somebody say, outgoing, and I write that down on one flip chart in a green pen. And then someone says, driven, helpful. And then I get about 5 or 6 positive attributes. And then someone says, sleazy. Someone else says untrustworthy, only out for themselves. And that list in red ink on the second flip chart is always 2-3 times larger. And then somebody in this audience says, wait a minute, we're not like that. But we have that kind of stuff in our head. So we need a way of letting our authentic selves out that want to help, because even if you take a look at Christianity, Jesus actually sucked as a salesperson, but he had 12 great salespeople underneath him that generated 1.4 billion followers. And so if we're selling
I'm on task over time, right?
Yeah, if we're selling nothing gets sold, ideas, concepts,
Eternity.
products. I bet you I know some really amazing salespeople in your household, Jeff, especially when kids were younger. Younger kids knew when they were 2 or 3 or 4 which parent to go to depending on what they wanted to ask, and then you had to ask it. And somewhere along the way, and I'm sure Bushra was really excellent at getting her dad twisted around her little baby finger, but then we become adults and all of a sudden we're fearful of that natural gift that we had. And so I want to share with you a simple process for generating sales excellence. I call it the Simply Selling System. And what that system does, actually, I'm going to share a different screen. Let's actually go stop sharing for a moment. And I want to bring this presentation over here. Go to the first one here and then go share. Here we go. That way I'm looking at the camera and not looking at something else. Share sound, optimize for video clips. Here we go. Let me hit slideshow. This is me photoshopped so I look extra handsome. And this is the Simply Selling System. And it's got 6 basic steps. A lot of this you're going to be familiar with, Bushra, Jeff, is number 1 is rapport. That is the foundation of human interaction. The more rapport we have, the more trust we have, and we need to learn how to build it consistently, because we know it, but oftentimes in sales situations, we forget it and we just go into what we're supposed to do. Number 2, you need to set expectations. And Jeff, you may have experience at this. When you're going on a long trip, you tell your kids, go to the bathroom before you get in the car, and this trip is going to be 2 hours long. And even with that, your kids are still saying, are we there yet? So we need to set expectations for our clients and prospects. Number 3 is leverage. People do not buy from an analytical point of view. They buy from an emotional stance. Got somebody else coming in. Number 4 is gathering information about our clients. We need to know critical things about them before we can move forward. Number 5 is summation. Once we've done that meeting, how do we sum it up in a way that the person that's listening to us, that attended us in that sales meeting, they think to themselves, I'd have to be an idiot if I did not say yes to this. And the last step of the process is how to harness all of this and get more yeses in our lives. So let us begin. The first thing we need to do is build rapport. Rapport is something we do unconsciously, elegantly, powerfully with our friends. When you see a group of friends sitting together, oftentimes they have the same body language. They're talking at the same volume of voice. If everyone can just kind of mute themselves, unless you got a question, that would be brilliant. So we get rapport from the time we're babies. When you have a baby, it can control nothing in its life except its tongue. And what's kind of amazing is that if you get a newborn baby that's 1 or 2 days old, and Nazia is about to have a child soon in the next month or so, Nazia, I want you to try this out. After your child, your baby is 2, 3 days old, I want you to look at it and I want you to do this. Go. And that's the only thing a baby can control, and they will stick their tongue back out at you, which is hot.
That's right. I'm going to try that.
Oh, excellent. So let's go back to the presentation, and here we go. And the reason babies do that is they have mirror neurons, and mirror neurons allow us to copy other people, and that's how babies learn. When Queen Elizabeth was asked, how did you learn how to become a queen? She said, like a monkey, I watched my parents do what they did, and I just absorbed how to be a queen. So if you want to build rapport, whether it's on the phone or in person, the first thing you can do is listen to the voice of the person that you are interacting with. And if they are talking really, really quickly, what happens is if they're talking really quickly and you talk in a normal voice, they think you're an idiot. Because we equate people that talk slower than us with slowness of the mind. And of course, the two things have nothing to do with each other, but it creates a disconnect between them and us. And if they talk slower than us and we're talking faster than them, they think, oh, that guy's trying to force me to buy something. They're trying to kind of talk me into it. So the first thing you do is when you're talking with someone is match the speed of their voice and the volume of their voice. And just by doing that, you'll get head nods. As you're talking to people, they'll start nodding their head ever so slightly, microscopic head nods, and that means they're in rapport with you. The next thing you can do is you can match the words that they use. So people fall into 5 categories, and the 5 categories look something like this. It's our senses, right? Our primary sense is what we see. And so people are either visual, and if they're visual, they use visual words like, oh, I can see that, or that, I see a bright future for you, Arij. So people use visual language. The second modality is ears, what we hear, and people use words like, that sounds right. We're on the same frequency. Just pay attention to the words they're using. The third one is kinesthetics, that's feeling, emotional feelings and physical feelings, and they'll use, I'm looking for an idea with a large impact. I want to grab a hold of an idea. They're using those words. Another way to tell these people apart, people that are visual people tend to talk quickly because images are firing off in their head and they talk really quickly. People that are auditory people talk at a normal rate because that sounds right to them. And then finally, people that are kinesthetic feel more things and they talk a little bit slower and maybe use a deeper voice, but pay attention to the words that they use. And the other 2 senses are taste, gustatory. I want a solution I can sink my teeth into. We do not use language accidentally. And then of course, smell. People talk about, the sweet smell of success, or that idea stinks, and they use smell language to do that. And when you start noticing that stuff, it changes the way you show up with people. So number 1 is voice. Number 2 is the words that they use. Number 3 is body language. And when you take a look at body language, you can have somebody going like this, listening to you. And Jeff, if Jeff was basically trying to get into rapport with me, Jeff would do the same thing. Jeff, if you can demonstrate, you would do that. And so if I changed my stance to like this, Jeff would not go like this instantly. He would take like 7 or 8 seconds and just go over there. And if you watch a group of friends sitting down at a food court or a coffee shop, it's like a ballet, 2 people. One person does this, the other person does it, then they change their posture, and the other person does, and it's a ballet between 2 people. Is something we do naturally and unconsciously with our friends. And I'm asking you to do that with the clients that we're interacting with, prospects. And we do that for one primary reason. It's people think, communications is a 50-50 kind of game. It's 50% me, it's 50% Shuffolk. That's not true. Communications has to be 100% me And if I'm lucky, Shafik is doing the same thing. I have to take all the burden of that communication. And the reason I do that is I want to honor Shafik by matching her volume, the speed of voice, her words, her body language. And in a sales situation, if Shafik was running a company and she was telling me about the issues in her company, oh yeah, the solution we came up with was a disaster. This symbol here, this gesture, represents 2 years of suffering in that past solution. So pay attention to that, because later on when we go to actually sell her, we're going to talk about that. And she might be talking about, I'm looking for a solution we can like a bright future. She does something like that. That also represents, what she really wants to create. So when I go at the end of the sales presentation, Shafik, the reason you want to work with us is we're going to let you let go of the past. And I use that same gesture she did. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, you complete me, Umar. And then I'll talk about our solution. I'll use that gesture she used for what she wants. And that communicates at a much deeper level. And also there is a whole encyclopedia of information about what went wrong. And just by using that gesture, I'm tapping into that. And when she was talking about what she wants to build, the same thing is true. I'm tapping into that. So paying attention to gestures is really important. The last thing that's critically important, and you can do this by just matching the voice, is that if you breathe at the same level as the people that you're leading, what that does is this. What that does is that it is a profound connection. So if you have a mom and she's had her first baby, and after about 3 months, 4 months, her and her husband is going out on their first date. She's super anxious. Is the baby going to be alive when I come back? Can I trust my mom? Of course you can trust your mom, but you still think, can I trust her? Will she drop the baby? And so the mom gets super anxious. And because the mom's anxious and she's breathing a certain way, that baby starts crying, starts fussing. What does mom do? Takes the baby into the bedroom, lies down with the baby, and the mom also calms down. Her breathing gets settled. The baby matches because it's got mirror neurons, and the baby settles down. So when you match the breath of the person you're with, you get a profoundly deep connection with that human being. And this is how you do it with men. With men, you look at their chest and you can watch it rise and fall as they're speaking. Note to everyone on the presentation today, do not do this with women. Women do not like it when you're looking at their chest. So what you do with women is you look at their shoulders and how they rise and fall as they breathe, and you match their breath. And when you do that, you get a profound connection. All of these things that I showed you how to get a connection, what that does is when I meet someone for the first time, in the first 3 or 4 minutes, you know what they go? Umar, it's like I've known you all of my life and we've just met. I hear this all the time. I'm not sure why I'm telling you this, but, and they'll tell me their deepest truth. All because I did this. And I did not do this to manipulate them, because people can sense that. I did this because I want to honor them and match them in every way possible so that I can get all the filters fall away and they communicate one human being to another. And that is the pathway for success. Let's say, okay, that's good. Let me grab this one here for a moment. Let me go here, go escape here. And all right, this is what I do want to show you. Let's go here. Let me go to our presentation. Where is Zoom? Okay, so we've been talking about all this communications, how to connect. I'm going to show you how you can take this to a much deeper level. If you'd like to learn how to mind read, just unmute and say, yes, I want to learn what people are thinking. And I'm going to show you something that's scientific, that's going to show you how to read people's minds. I'm going to assume everybody said yes.
Yes, we did.
Excellent. Here we go. And let me bring this one here and say, share the screen. I'm going to show you a video with this woman. Her name is Sharon. And I've been in rapport with her before the video started. So we're connected. And then I'm going to ask her what she bought a dress, what made her buy the dress. And I'm going to watch her eye movements. When she looks up, she's accessing visual centers. On one side is visual create. She's creating a visual image. And on visual recall, if she looks that way, she is recalling something that she's seen. If she looks to the side, she's recalling something she heard. If I asked her, what would your mother's voice sound like if it was 2 octaves lower? And of course, her mother doesn't talk like this, but her eyes would go on audio create, to create that in the audio studio in her mind. When people look down to feelings, they're feeling things. And when they look down to thinking, they're talking to themselves and deciding what they want to do. Watch this and see how easy it is to mind read. So Sharon, you're going to the beach, right?
Yes,
So you purchased some dresses.
I did.
So what made you decide to buy those particular dresses?
The style of them, they're very summery.
Mm-hmm.
They scream, I'm going to the beach,
Yes.
which is something I'm really looking forward to.
Excellent. So they looked right, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's why you purchased them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 proposals to buy my coaching services. And so here's proposal 1. That I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to tell you about my coaching services. And if it makes sense, you could buy them. Or proposal 2, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to show you what coaching can do for you. And if it makes sense, you can buy my services. Which proposal do you like better?
Do you mind running through them one more time for me?
So proposal 1, I'm going to come to your house and tell you about what I can do. And if it makes sense, you can buy the coaching services. Option 2 is I come to your house and I show you what coaching can do for you.
2.
2. By a little bit more or a lot more?
By a lot.
Right. Excellent. So Sharon, you're going to the beach, right? All right. So what I'm showing you there is this. Is just by watching her eye movements, I can tell. So I said, I'm going to 2 proposals. One, I'm going to show you what coaching can do. And the other one was, I'm going to tell you. And she said, show you. And the reason I knew that is I watched her eye movements, what she did when she purchased the dresses. And then I said, was it more attracted by a little or a lot? And she said a lot. And we've done a ton of these videos with all kinds of different people. And some people have more complicated eye patterns to make buying decisions. But when we use their unconscious buying decision mode, they always go, the second proposal you gave me is more attractive by a little or a lot. They always say a lot. And that's what I want to share with you today is very much, how you can do that easily and comfortably each and every time. Any questions on that before we move forward? All right. So the next thing that I want to take you through is, so I'm having a, hey, how are you? Just a rapport kind of interaction with the client. And then I want to turn over to the sales side of things. And I normally wear a watch. And I just basically look at the watch and go, do we still have an hour for the meeting? And basically, I'm letting them know we've gone from rapport and we're going over to the sales side of things. And I ask them just to, do we still have an hour? And they'll go, yep, we still have an hour. And if they don't, they'll tell me, no, I only have half an hour. Something came up. And I can shorten my presentation. And so when I've got that, I want to set expectations. So number 1 was rapport. The second one is expectations. And I'll go something like this. I'll go, Amina, you're a really busy person, and I want to make sure I get you what you need in this presentation. What are your expectations for this sales meeting? And Amina's going to say, what I really want to find out is A, B, C, D in this presentation. And why that's important is this, is I already know A, B, and C, but I had no idea D was something that was important to her. So I asked that question for 2 reasons. Number 1, I figure out what she really wants out of this meeting. And number 2, I want her to know that, hey, I want these 4 things. So she's actually aware of it as well. Because most people just go into a meeting and they're not really sure why they're there. We explicitly figure out why they're there. And because I gave her the opportunity to tell me what she wants, it's okay for me to ask her, let me just tell you what I want to accomplish in this meeting. I want to make sure I give you enough information, Amina, that at the end of this meeting, you can figure out whether A, you want to do business with me and say, yes, let's get started. Or you decide this is not for me, and you can tell me, no, thanks. Or you might need more information from me or research stuff on your side. And if that's the case, we just calendar something before we end this meeting. That way you won't have to chase me to get me back on the phone. Does that sound fair? And she's gonna, no one so far has ever said that's not fair, because I gave her the opportunity to set expectations before me. It's only fair that I get to do them as well. And what I want is at the end of this meeting, a yes or no, or a defined future. The second thing I let her know, let's say Amina is my client, a potential client, is Amina, I'm going to be moving pretty quickly in this presentation. So if I say something and you have a question, just ask me right away so I can clarify it. And she's going to say, okay, that's fine. And because I've given her that opportunity, now I get to say, and just so I make this more valuable for you, I'm going to be asking you questions so I actually address all your real concerns. And every customer that I've ever spoken to says, sure, that makes sense. But it's really important, by me getting permission to ask questions, I can ask questions. By getting that rapport at the front, building that trust, I can ask personal questions. I can ask financial questions. I can go deeper into the organization because I did that first step of rapport. Second step, expectations. What do you want out of the meeting? This is what I want. Is it ask me questions anytime during this meeting? Is it okay if I ask you questions? And as soon as she says yes, we are off to the races. Then we go to step 3. Step 3 is this. So let me actually show you the screen here again, because I think it's important. Is what I do is say, Amina, you're really busy, and there's probably a reason you wanted to meet with me today. So tell me what's going on. And because I have a lot of rapport and we have a lot of trust, she's going to tell me, well, we got this issue 1 going on. And this is where a lot of sales reps will stop and say, oh, this thing's going on. That sounds terrible. What else is going on? And then they get the second thing that's going on. And they might get the third thing. They might get the fourth thing. And the only thing I'm saying to do different is this. Is let's say she says the first issue that's going on is I have a sales team and they give up too soon. Like they've been talking to a client, they get an objection, maybe 2, and then they give up. I go, oh my God, okay. So how's that impacting the company because they give up too soon? She goes, each month we are losing money. Well, how much is that a year? Like we're losing $200,000 in profit each year because of that issue. And how does the CEO feel about this? Oh, the CEO is really pissed off. Who's he blaming? Me, I'm the leader of sales. So we got something that has a high emotional impact, and we've got a number around it that the client themselves gave us, $200,000. Then I go, what else is going on? They go, oh, this other thing is going on. What's the financial impact? 30,000. Low emotional impact. Issue 3, it's $100,000 impact. It's got a high emotional thing. At that point, instead of saying what else is going on, I go, okay, so let me get this straight. You got issue 1 going on, issue 2 going on, issue 3 going on. What's missing from this list? Now that, my friends, is a really, really important question, because when you ask what's missing from that list, it opens up a different filing cabinet. And then they actually look for, I'm forcing them to go for what's missing off that list. And if you ask somebody that question, they go looking for it. And oftentimes they find issue 4. This issue 4 is a $60,000 problem. I go, okay, it sounds like you guys, have some stuff that you guys need fixing. Then I go to the next level, which is number 4, which is an important step in the sales process. So let me get a better understanding of this. This sounds like a serious issue. What's your budget to fix this problem? And at this point, she's going to say, our budget is this much money. Or she's going to say, well, I'm not sure, or we don't have a budget for this. That's an objection. And we'll cover that in a different presentation. Sometimes people want to hold their cards to their vest and not tell you because you're a salesperson. But if you did the rapport stage right and you really built up trust and connection, there's a really good chance they're going to tell you the number. If they don't tell you the number, you can start getting different bands. It's like, okay, well, I understand you don't want to tell me what the number is, but is your budget, you know, between $20,000 and $30,000? They go, no. Is it higher or lower? And then you go, it's lower. Is it between 10 and 20,000? Yeah, it's there. And you get a good sense by asking a couple of bracketing questions. You get a sense it's between $10,000 and $20,000 is their budget, and they'll feel safer telling you that. Hold that thought. Let me go to another thought altogether. They had this research study where they had students come in. The best guinea pigs in the world are not white mice, are college students and university students. So they get them in an auditorium and they give them a test and they ask them 10 questions. And they know how tough these questions are in the time allotted. And any person doing it should maybe get 1 or 2 questions done. And the rest of these just cannot get done. And they say, you know, finish this test. And when it's finished, you can come down and crumple up the test or tear it up, throw it in the trash can, and tell the person right there how many questions you got right, and they'll give you $1 for each question you got right. Guess what? On average, people get 4 questions right because they didn't show the paper to anyone. They just said, oh, I got 4 right, and they get $4. Then they do another experiment, another group of students, still the same tough questions. They know people can't get more than 2 done. And the instructions are come down, rip up the paper. Instead of getting money, you're going to get tokens. You take the tokens and just go outside of the auditorium. There's another station there. Hand in the tokens and we'll give you dollars for those. And when people come down, guess how many questions they get right? 6. Because they're lying more now because they're not getting money. They're getting tokens. And somehow they justify, I'm not cheating that badly. And they take the 6 tokens and get $6. So first time they lied to get $4. And the second time they lied because they're tokens to get $6. So by bracketing, I don't want to tell you how much our budget is. By using that bracketing technique, they'll give you a ballpark really easily and they won't feel bad about it. Second part of that question is timeline. When do you want to fix this? Oh, we want to fix this in 2025. So at that point, you know, this is not going to be a sale anytime soon. But you might ask them, why? You know, it seems like a serious problem. Why do you want to wait this long to fix it? You can go down that. That's objection handling. Number 3. Because when you spoke to them before, Jeff, are you the guy that makes the decision? Jeff is like, yep, I'm the guy. And so one of the things I go is, you know, you've bought services like this before. When was that? Jeff says 2 years ago. How was that decision made? And then Jeff goes, oh, there were 3 people involved. It was the CFO, the CEO, because I asked the same question in a different way from a past example. It opens up a whole new filing cabinet of that past event. And Jeff's not going to go, well, we made it like, no, I'm going to lie. I'm going to say, oh, I made the decision. It's not going to happen. He's going to reveal the truth. And that's what you need to know, how the decision is made. And that is how you get to part 4, which is gathering information. So just to kind of bring you back, number 1, rapport. Number 2, set expectations. Number 3, you went in and you basically, let's go here. You went in and you found the leverage, the emotional impact, the financial impact. Then we did the information stage, budget, timeline, how you make decisions. And then we go to summation. And let me go to show you the screen on this. This is what summation looks like. So basically we're giving them feedback. All the information they told us, we're feeding it back to them. So it's not like, I'm telling you this, you're getting, you know, thanks so much for letting me know what's going on. And you were taking notes very, very overtly. Like you were not hiding it, you were taking notes. And you go, so what you told me was issue 1 is a $200,000 problem. And it's got a high emotional impact. You're worried your boss is going to fire you. Issue 2 has low emotional impact, but that's a $30,000 problem. Issue 3 is a high impact, $100,000 problem. Issue 4 is medium, a $60,000 problem. It looks like you have a $390,000 problem. And they kind of go, holy shit, I do have that problem. Because for the first time, what you've done for your client is this. What you've done for your client is taken all that pain, all that financial stuff and put it together in one format. It's like, dude, you've got a $390,000 problem and your concern is going to get you fired. You're staying up at night worrying about it. and you've been trying to solve this for 2 years. Let me tell you how we can help you solve that. And at that point is where we go into our sales presentation. Notice our sales presentation came way down the line, because most salespeople go, let me tell you about our company. We have a marketing company, we've got these clients, and we've done this, and they love us, and we're fantastic, and you should do business with us as well. And what we went was, hey, what's going on for you? What are the issues? How much is it costing you? What's the emotional impact? And then we come down to this number of $390,000. And from that, we basically say, Jeff, thanks so much for sharing that. When we started this presentation, I had told you that when we get to the end of the presentation, that I'm going to ask you to figure out. So you've got a serious problem, $390,000. This is, has an impact on the entire organization. What would you like to do? Would you like us to move forward and help you? Is this something that you don't want to do? How would you like to proceed? Basically is what I asked the person. That's my close. You got a $390,000 problem that is majorly impacting your organization in many ways. How can we help you solve that? And at that point, Shuffa goes, oh yeah, we need to do something. And either it's, yeah, how do we work together when we go into a sales conversation? Or they go, I don't think this is the right solution for us, which is an objection. And we'll cover this on another training, how to take objections and elegantly transform them into opportunities to say yes. Or Jeff goes, because we know that the decision is made by the CFO, the CEO, and Jeff, that he says, I need to talk to those folks. And at that point, what we need to do is say, that makes perfect sense. Jeff, would it be better if I did the presentation with you for them? And Jeff goes, oh, no, we don't want to do that. I want to talk to them myself. And the chances of Jeff doing a good job describing what I just took him through is not that great. Because Jeff's going to say, hey, we got this really great company and they're going to help us solve this thing. And they want to charge us $15,000 to solve it. And the CFO is like, $15,000? And so we need to coach Jeff to basically say, hey, Jeff, when you're having this presentation, these are the 4 issues you need to highlight. This is what's going on and this is what the impact is. And we've been trying to solve it in these ways. And I think we found the right solution. These guys know what they're doing and they're going to help us in the next 3 months recoup that lost revenue that our competition is buying. So we get a chance to coach Jeff and then set an appointment. You're meeting with your team on Thursday afternoon. Let's schedule something for Friday morning at 10 o'clock to do a 5-minute debrief. And Jeff already agreed when we set the expectations to do that. And at that point, Jeff goes, okay, let's set it for Friday. We do a Zoom call for Friday, and I might send him some more information the time before. So basically what we did here was this. We said, this is our system, and our system is called Simply Selling. Step 1 is rapport, and we need to get really, really good at this. Step 2, set the expectations for our customer, for ourselves, permission to ask questions. 3, really dig down deep to figure out what the problem areas are, attach emotion to it, attach dollar values to it. So at the end, we can actually give them, this is the size of the problem. 4, how do you make buying decisions? What's the timeline? What's the budget? 6 is summation. Dude, you got a $390,000 problem. You guys need to fix this or your company, will have serious issues. By the way, you might get fired. And then number 6 is simply asking for a decision. What would you like to do? So nothing that I taught you here, other than maybe the mind reading part, is new information, but it's a logical way. My end result that I want to get is this. I want a Reach to be a Reach when she's selling. I don't want her to be Umar. I don't want her to be Jeff. I don't want to go, hey, how are you? I want to sell you something. I want her to be her. Shafik is more data focused, more no bullshit kind of gal. I want you to be you. I want Jeff to be Jeff. But if there's a process that we can use to get more yeses, and all of this process is designed to honor the person you're talking with, to get them to do most of the talking, to get them to get insights. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Simply Selling system. Jeff, your thoughts on the system? What did you like about it? What could be better? Any new insights?
I love how you take them through the intent statement type piece in the beginning. So as far as setting the expectations,
yeah.
I think it's very important to outline in a sales process their opportunity to say no, right? It takes a lot of pressure off of the person that you're sitting there with to let them know that if they don't tell you yes, that's okay. And you're also telling them right then and there that you're planning on setting up next steps if they don't decide, which I think, again, it's planting those seeds for what's happening later in the conversation. So that's great.
Thank you for sharing that. And did anybody else in chat window say yes? Watch Jeff's eyes as he was talking. When he first started thinking about it, looked right up, and then he was looking in the recall when he was talking about, customers and clients. So as we start paying more attention to people, we start going, oh my God, we're revealing so much information. So it turns out that communications, the words we use that we spend all this time thinking about, oh, what do I say, is only 7% of communications. 38% is the tonality. It's like, really, Jeff? Really, Jeff? Like that tonality has such an impact on meaning, and the rest is body language. And a lot of that is facial expressions, breathing, eye movements. And as we go more advanced into this, and as we go into coaching, I start teaching people how to become masters of connecting with humans and getting humans to say yes. I mean, that's how I got my first wife, and that's how I got my second wife. So before we part company, any questions? And I'm going to end with a really, really bad joke. Any questions from the folks? Going once, going twice. All right.
No, loved everything. And like really you were saying, and when Jeff was talking, he was looking, and I actually looked into it, and it was like he was remembering something. So learned a lot. And thank you for the Simply Setting system. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And so here's a really, really bad joke. This older gentleman in a wheelchair, and his nurse is taking him to a fancy restaurant because, she's his companion. And they're sitting down for dinner and having a lovely dinner together. And she goes, so you were married? He says, yeah, I was married 3 times. Oh my God, what happened? My first wife, she died. How did she die? The nurse asked. She ate poison mushrooms. And the nurse goes, oh my God, that's horrible. And your second wife, she died also. How did she die? She ate poison mushrooms. Oh my God. The third wife, how did she die? Gunshot. Oh my God, what happened? She wouldn't eat the mushrooms. Jeff, is there another topic we can do that would be of value to you?
Well, I know one of the reasons I showed up is your NLP take on a lot of this, Umar. So I always appreciate that, right, from a sales perspective. So I don't know. I just wanted to hear your take. I haven't had a chance to see you in person in a couple of years. So so initially I wanted to jump on and kind of hear what it is that you're up to and what you're teaching right now. So I appreciate your time, man.